Hello everyone and welcome to Azam Sharp Weekly. And in this video, we're going to be building a small app that's going to showcase you the master detail interaction. So you can see that I have an iPad over here, or the iPad application. And what we're trying to do is we will create the sidebar that's going to list some sort of genres for the movies. And then when you select a genre, when you touch on this, then we will see or display all the movies associated with that genre. Okay? And all of this information will be coming from core data. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, the first thing I need to do is to set up core data. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a new file. I will call it Core Data Manager. I'll create a Core Data Manager. Now, I have already done this so many times that I'm just going to go ahead and copy paste it. Okay, Core Data Manager. And that's it. Let's go ahead and import core data. So what we are doing is we're trying to look for a model file, which data model for the core data, which is film model, which I don't have, and I'm trying to look for that. And once we find that, we create the persistent container and load the stores. But we don't really have anything called film model. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to simply say new file, data model, and I'm just going to call it film model. I mean, you can call it anything you want. You can call it movie model or something if you want, that's fine. Currently, we want to start with storing the genre for the movie, like whether it is an action movie or is it a horror movie or comedy movie. So I'm going to go ahead and add an entity. And let's go ahead and call this genre. Okay. Next, I can add some sort of an attribute, meaning a property associated with that particular entity. So title will be fine. And we will make sure it is string. And also we will make sure, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. There we go. Also make sure that this is not it is not optional, meaning you have to provide the title. So that's why I made sure that the optional check mark is unchecked. Let's go ahead and build our application. Okay, that's good. I think that will create or generate the genre class or genre manage object automatically. And the reason it will do that is if you select the genre, you will see that code generation is set to class definition, which means that Xcode is going to create the class for you, which is great. Less work for us. Now I'm going to go ahead and move to our views. So the first view is the content view, which is kind of like the root view of our application anyways. And in order for the content view to know about the manage object context and all those things, if I wanted to access all those things, then I need to inject something over here in the root. Okay. Now, we do want to do that, and the reason is that I don't want to really create previews for every single genre view and this view and that view. So I'm just going to go ahead and inject my environment key right over here. I'll call it, well, you have to select manage object context, and I can use my core data manager to get access to the view context. If you don't do that, then you can't really use the NSFetch request, all those amazing property wrappers for the SwiftUI, you can't do that. Now, when building the core data applications, you can use any pattern that you like. I'm not going to use any pattern because I don't want to complicate this video, but you can definitely look into any pattern. I would preferably use something close to active record pattern because it kind of blends in nicely, but it's kind of up to you in the end, whatever pattern that you want to use. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do is remove all of this stuff, and I'm just going to go ahead and use NavigationSplitView. And this time I'm going to use the one with the sidebar. So this will be our sidebar. So I'm just going to call it sidebar. And this will be detail. And you can see that whenever I do that, it creates a sidebar and it creates a detail. And the sidebar simply says sidebar because that's the view in the sidebar. Okay, so that's great. But in the sidebar, we want to actually generate the list of genres. Okay, so in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and create another view. A SwiftUI view, genre, list view. Okay, genre list view. So what should we do in the genre list view? Well, we want to display the genre and we also want the ability to add a new genre. That would be good too. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Again, I'm using genre, list view, and if I want to access the manage object context in there, I would have to use environment. So I'm just going to go ahead and add environment over here. Environment, yeah, like this. And I will say manage object context. And now I can go ahead and kind of like talk about what do I want to inject. So core data manager shared.persistent container.view context. Okay, that's fine. We would like to add some sort of text field that will allow us to add a genre. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with the VStack. We will allow the user to add a genre. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a state variable. And let's create a text field. And I will also go ahead and put the text field inside a edge stack. And now I can create a button for the save part. Save. There we go. Now for this VStack, let's go ahead and add some padding, a little bit padding, not too much. There we go. Okay, looking good. We have a very simple, you can see very simple, it's too much now. There we go. So we have a very simple application. We have a text field. Now if I do want to save this genre, I need to get access to the manage object context. So let's go ahead and import core data. Okay, great. And now I can simply go ahead and do it over here. Okay, I'm not really using any pattern or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and type it over here and pass in the context. Genre.title equals to genre title or genre name. And then simply context.save. And make sure that the genre name is also reset. So genre name equals to this. Okay. Okay, so that is actually going to hopefully save the genre. The other thing that we want to do is to, well, list all the genres that we have saved. And for that, I can use the power of fetch request. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a fetch request. With the sort descriptor, I'm just going to pass sort descriptor as nothing, like an empty. And this will be my all genre results, which will be a fetch results. Okay, so it will be genre. Great. And where do I want to display it? Well, I can simply display it right after the at stack, all genre results. This is already conforming to random access collection, which means I can iterate through it. I'll get the genre, if there is any genre, and I can simply go ahead and display it. Genre.title probably. There we go. Okay, so let's try to run this and add something. I know it's kind of small and it's for you too hard to see, but if I try to run this and I add a genre called action, and I'll press the save button, and there we go. Immediately you can see the action genre is added. I'm just going to go ahead and add comedy. Great, everything is working pretty good now as I'm able to add all of these genres. All right, and we have fiction. Okay, looks like everything is working, so that's pretty good. We are able to add a genre, and we are able to, we're able to view the genre. If I go back to my content view, I can remove this text and I can simply replace by genre list view or something, so that that part of the app is displayed in a small list. Let's go back to the genre list view. I'm wondering if I can go ahead and also put some sort of a title over here, navigation title, let's say genres, and go back to the content view and see if that title appears. Okay, looks good. Let's go ahead and add another genre over here for kids. Looks like it's working pretty good. So all of this stuff is stored in the SQLite database. That's the default database when you're using core data. So that is persisted. It is being stored. That is all good. The next thing that we want to do is we want to select a genre. And whenever we select the genre, we want to show all the movies over here and also allow the user to obviously add the movie. Okay. So how do we select the genre? I think this is an important question, because we not only want to select the genre, but we want to select the genre and kind of like pass to the details. So for that, we may have to create a movie list view. But how do we select the genre? So what's going to happen is that the parent of everyone, which is the content view, is going to declare a state variable genre, and it will be optional. And we can actually pass this genre over here. So genre. Now, obviously, our genre list view doesn't really care that you're passing something. So let's go to the genre list view, and we will have to update our genre list view to tell it that, hey, you should be expecting something. Somebody is going to be sending you something. So I'll say binding var genre and genre. Now, why do we use binding? Well, the reason that we're using binding is that we are going to be kind of like saving that information, right? So whatever the selected genre that you're passing, that is going to be passed to the list. So let me actually show you what's going to happen. Now over here, you can see that I need to pass in something. So let's see if I can pass something over here. Dot. The problem is that I can't really pass anything over here. I need to have a view context and all those things. So I may have to do the whole thing again. Core data manager dot share dot persistent dot something. It won't really make that much sense. I don't think that's going to do anything. But if we go back over here and in the list, basically every time you select the genre from the list, meaning every time you add something, not sure what happened over there. I think it added like a couple of multiple things actually over here, which probably it means that we won't be able to run this too much over here. Let's go ahead and make sure that if the genre name is let's go ahead and create another field over here. We should have created the field because now we have empty stuff in there. It's found valid, Boolean, and we will currently just say that if the genre dot is empty. Oh, sorry, genre dot not genre. Sorry, genre name dot is empty. It's not empty. Then the form is valid, and then we can even enable the button. So we can say disabled is form valid. Okay. But don't worry too much about these empty spaces for now. Okay. So the second argument over here is the selection, and this is where we're going to be passing in the binding thing that we just got it. Okay. So that is what we're passing. Now, if I go and select, I can't really do anything right now. It's not going to work. I would go back to the content view and kind of pin this because I can only see the content view or in the other views also. So once it is pinned, now I can actually play around with it. When I select these, comedy or whatever, nothing really happens. I mean, it doesn't really indicate that it is being selected or anything. Now, one of the things that you have to do is if you go to the genre list view, you can see that we are simply displaying a text kind of like a label to display the title. We will have to use a navigation link. So I'm going to use a navigation link with a title, which will be the genre.title, and the value will be the genre. Now, once we do that, you'll be able to see that whenever I select something, it highlights because of the navigation link, because we're inside the navigation split view. So this is great. This means that the value genre is getting selected, so that all obviously is good. And the other thing that is good is that when we select this, the genre that we passed in to the genre list view is actually getting changed, which also means that in the content view, this genre is also getting updated. So that's what the whole point of passing it as a binding, so that when the genre list view updates it, it automatically gets updated for us. So just like the genre, the next thing that we need to do is we need to create the detail view, which basically what I meant to say is a movie list view, telling us all the different movies based on that genre. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new SwiftUI view. I'll call it movie list view. And we'll simply type over here movie list view so that we know that we're talking about the movie list view. I can go back to my content view and then call it movie list view. Okay. Now, there are two different things that we need to do with the movie list view. Ideally means that if I had to, if under the perfect scenario, the movie list view, I'm only going to be passing in the movies based on a particular genre, right? So it will be an array of movies or whatever. That is what you will be passing. Over here, I'm going to take a little bit of a different direction, because not only that we want to show you all the movies of a particular genre, but I also want the ability to add a new movie of the selected genre. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass the genre in there. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and pass the genre so that the movie list view will know that which genre was selected. Maybe this is not your requirement. It is my requirement. Maybe this is not your requirement. So maybe you will not do that. I know it's kind of weird. It's just our requirement that I have to do it. Okay. Let's go to movie list view. So in the movie list view, we're going to be passing in the genre. This is the genre that we want to fetch all the movies for, and this is the same genre that we want to add to. So it's doing two different things. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a constructor over here for the genre. And what I want to do is I want to create a fetch results, meaning a fetch request basically. So fetch request, and I will say a sort descriptor, like that. That's fine. Private var, we'll start with calling in movies by genre, fetch results, very descriptive, fetch results for the movie. And now I need to initialize that. Now we don't really have anything called movie, that's another problem. So we have to go and get that particular, like a class for the movie. So I'll go back to my film model. I'll add an entity, movie. And for movie, we can add the same thing, kind of like the title of the movie is fine. String, not optional. Okay, that's good. And now we can create these relationships if you want, that's fine. I'm going to create a relationship. Genre can have movies. Destination is movie. This relationship is one to many. There we go. And from the movie side, we also have like a belong to relationship to the genre. Movie can belong to a genre, and there we go, 2-1 relationship. So that we know that if we have a movie in hand, we will know that which genre it belongs to. Okay, let's go back over here. Now over here it's saying that, well, this has to be unwrapped. So we can actually check over here. If genre, then we can actually go ahead and unwrap it and simply pass it around. Okay, so that is all good to go. Now our focus, our attention will be on the movie list view. So let's go ahead and dive into movie list view. So we created this fetch request, which is movies by genre fetch results, and you can see that it's not able to find the movie, right? Sometimes it happens even though we created the movie class and movie entity. You just have to build the app. Sometimes it succeeds. If it doesn't succeed, then you have to close the browser and start the browser again. Okay. And the other thing I'm wondering is, how did we, okay, so we deleted that part. Okay, so that's fine. I think we deleted something. That's not a big deal. Okay, let's see if it works. Okay, at least that part is working. Okay, so inside the init, we need to initialize our movies by genre fetch request, which will be based on the genre. So I'm just going to go ahead and say fetch request. And it will be based on movie.byGenre, which does not exist. And we're going to pass in the genre. So maybe over here you will see kind of like a hint or a taste of active record pattern. I'm saying movie.byGenre, and there is no such thing as by genre. There is no function called by genre. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create that particular function. I'm going to start with a Swift file. I'll call it movie plus extensions. So I'm simply extending the original class that was generated by Xcode. I'm simply extending it and adding a couple of functions to it. Okay? Just basically one function, which is by genre. Make sure you import core data. And there we go. That should allow us to say movies.byGenre, passing in the genre. We create the fetch request. We set up the correct predicate. We set up the correct sort descriptors, and we return the request. The request is passed to the fetch request, and then our fetch request property wrapper is initialized correctly. Okay. Now let's go to the body part. The body part is actually quite simple, so I'm just going to go ahead and paste some stuff and we can maybe talk about it. But you'll see it's identical to the genre part. Okay, so we don't have the movie name. Let's go ahead and drag and drop the movie name. There we go, that's the movie name. And we don't have the context, so we need the context also. All right, so context is always in the manage object context environment key. So let's go ahead and pull it from there. And now hopefully we'll be able to save it. Let's go ahead and do import core data. Okay. So you can see that in our movie list view, creating a text field, just like the genre, and a button. And then we simply go through and get the genre based on the movie. Let's go back to our content view. Let's refresh the page. Okay, so we have all the genres. I'm going to select on horror. And now if I see over here, there are no horror movies, but the genre that I've selected is horror. Probably it would be a good idea, I think, to give some sort of a heading that you have selected the genre horror. Let's see if we can actually do that. How about genre.title? I wonder if that will be enough. Oh yeah, there we go. I'm going to select horror. So now at least I know I'm on the horror. And one of my favorite horror movies is 28 Days Later. I actually really love zombie movies. saw most of them, and save it. And there we go, 28 days later, horror. We can align these things, I believe, somewhere. Where are they being displayed? Over here? Okay. Alignment, we can say leading. So everything is kind of like left aligned. Now, if I select comedy, nothing. If I select horror, we got the horror movie 28 days later. Fiction, there's nothing. Let's go ahead and add kids movie. Kids, finding, I don't even know how to spell Nemo. Nemo, it's like that or something? Probably I spelled it wrong. Finding Nemo, Finding Dory. Okay, so we have all these movies. Action movie, with no action movie over here. And looks like everything is working fine. Okay, after you save it, I mean, obviously you can go ahead and say movie name, and you can kind of like reset it out. All right, so that is pretty much it. Hopefully you have learned how to communicate between the sidebar and the detail, and all when we were using core data. Everything is stored permanently in core data. Now, before we leave, one last thing is everything that we were running was in Xcode preview, and it works. But when you're actually running your application on your machine, on your device, then you will have to go to the app file, and you have to make sure that you're injecting the environment key path over here too. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to do the same exact thing that we did previously, just inject it over there. Okay, so that's it. So now if you run it on a simulator, not on the Xcode preview, it will still work. And that's it. I hope you have enjoyed it. Thank you so much. Hey, if you like this video and want to support my channel, then the best way would be to check out my courses on Udemy. I have a lot of courses on Udemy. You can check out my brand new course in building the ChatGPT app for iOS and Mac with SwiftUI in only 1 hour, which is kind of like a crazy course. So I hope that you enjoy it. And I have a core data course with reminders application. You can definitely check that one out also. I have another 1 hour course on SwiftUI navigation. So that is a great course you can check out. And I have just released a brand new another course on building the real-time chat app with SwiftUI and Firebase. This is a 5-hour course, and it's also an amazing course if you want to learn about Firebase storage, authentication, real-time Firebase database. So this is a great course. So definitely check out. The link is right there in the description of the YouTube video. Thank you so much.